History books are lying.
Africa is not our home.
The Indians were you.
We were always here.
Welcome to the Aboriginal Channel. On this episode, we're going to be connecting certain peoples that are known to be from certain areas in North America with areas in Central America. So here in the county information in Alabama, while reading through carefully Greene County, where it said it was created by an act of Alabama Territorial General Assembly on the 13th December of 1819. It was originally called Mesopotamia. They originally called Mesopotamia, which was in Greene County. And when you look up Mesopotamia in that area, you'll find that they opened a Mesopotamia Female Seminary School in 1846. And if you watch the previous video titled HBCUs Part 1, you would know that Jackson State University, the HBCU, was originally called the Natchez Seminary, which we went over what seminary means. It means for them to be teaching in propagation and you to be learning in discontent. So Mesopotamia goes back to the Aboriginal inhabitants of Alabama. And then when you dig a little further, there's a place down in Mexico called Mesopotamia. It has 62 inhabitants. If you look down on the map and where it's located, it's halfway in between Tuxtla and Tabasco, basically the Olmec area of Mexico. Then when you look up in the state of Arkansas, there's a place called the Toltec Mounds Archaeological State Park. It's an archaeological site from the late woodland period in Arkansas that protects an 18-mound complex with the tallest surviving prehistoric mounds in Arkansas. The site is on the banks of the Mound Lake and Oxbow Lake of the Arkansas River. It was occupied by its original inhabitants from 600 to 1050 CE, meaning the Common Era. So it's saying they occupied that place where all those mounds are at in Arkansas from 600 to 1050. Then when you go and look down in Mexico, there's a place called the Toltec culture. It's an archaeological Mesoamerican culture that dominated a state centered in Tula, Hidalgo, Mexico. In the earlier post-classic period of Mesoamerica chronology, 900 to 1168 Common Era. This indicates that the Toltec culture started in Arkansas. Some left. They couldn't have all left in 900 because it said the Toltec mounds in Arkansas were occupied till 1050. And this place started from 9 to 1168. So there were some there and some left and went to northern Mexico, where this is at, and built these big stone totems. It later says that the Toltecs were mighty warriors who spread the cult of their greatest god, Quetzalcoatl, to the far corners of Mesoamerica. Evidence at Tula suggests that the Toltecs had a trade network and received goods from as far away as the Pacific coast and Central America. Says the later Aztec culture saw the Toltecs as their intellectual and cultural predecessors, emanating from Tula as the epitome of civilization. In a previous video, I explained how El Dorado, the etymology, goes back to an Indian chief from Colombia who presumably was vacated from that area by the conquistadors, where his people made their way up to the land of Arkansas. So that will connect them to Arkansas, the Toltecs to Arkansas from Mexico. But apparently the Toltecs started in Arkansas and made their way south. Then you have the Mesopotamia people in Alabama that also were from Mexico as well, down by the Olmec area of Mexico. Here in an old newspaper article, I found another connection between a tribe from the North American continent to an area, or possibly to have ancestral connections to the land of Mexico. It says the man-eating Atapacas, Acadiana's first settlers. There were wild Indians still in Acadiana a lot later than you might think. My grandfather was born in 1880. He lived all of his 94 years in Lake Charles and claimed to remember a handful of Indians living there when he was a child. So Lake Charles was created in 1861, right as the Civil War began, right down here in the Atapacas territory. But basically, we're going to go down here and read and make the connection between the Atapacas and Mexico. It says that Louis D. Milford, a French soldier of fortune who traveled widely among the Indians of the Southeast, visited the Atapacas territory in 1784. He said a chief named Joseph told him the name was Spanish in origin, that the tribe was so named because the Indians would roast but not eat captured Spaniards alive to avenge the torture of Atapacas ancestors in Mexico. So here we have another connection between particularly Indian tribes of the Southeast North American continent and Central America. Now let's go over and look at who the ancestors of the Atapacas down in Mexico could have been. So right here on Wikipedia, it says the explanation for what a maroon is. Maroons are descendants of in the Americas who formed settlements away from slavery. Some had escaped from slavery on plantations to form independent communities, but others had always been free, including those born in such settlements. Maroons often mix with indigenous peoples of the Americas, creating Creole cultures. Now, you know what this is saying. This is telling you that all the Indians that stayed independent from regular American society, or if you're going to be reading something, you got to be able to know how to break it down, see what it's telling you for real. But I read that to you to give you an idea of what they're trying to tell you a maroon is here in the Americas. Someone who formed an independent community. So we're going to go over here and look up a guy named Gaspar Yanga. Gaspar Yanga, often simply Yanga or Nyanga, was known for being the leader of a maroon colony in the highlands near Veracruz, Mexico, says then New Spain, during the early period of Spanish colonial rule. Now that says they were in the highlands near Veracruz, Mexico. When we look at Veracruz, Mexico, it says the Olmecs were the earliest known major civilization in Mesoamerica following a progressive development in Soconosca. They lived in the tropical lowlands of South Central Mexico in the present-day states of Veracruz and Tabasco. So in 1545, Yanga was born near the highlands of Veracruz, Mexico. Now you see where in red on this map, it's right along the rim of the Gulf Coast, Veracruz. It says this guy right here from 1545, a maroon, was in the highlands near Veracruz, Mexico. It says that he is known for successfully resisting a Spanish attack on the colony in 1609. In 1609, Jasper Yanga would have been 64 years old. It says finally in 1618, Yanga achieved an agreement with the colonial government for self-rule of the Maroon settlement. It was later called San Lorenzo de los Negros. San Lorenzo is in Veracruz. It says in 1932, the settlement he formed, located in today's Veracruz province, was renamed as Yanga in his honor. And all the way from the 1600s, you have the first Maroon War was a conflict between the Jamaican Maroons and the colonial British authorities that started around 1728 and continued until the peace treaties of 1739 and 1740. It was followed about a half of a century later by the Second Maroon War. So basically, if you were to ask me, the Olmecs, which did not die but multiplied, turned into the Maroons for sure, or at least a section of it. In like 1790, they had the Second Maroon War, and I'll leave you with this one. After the so-called Civil War, Morehouse College was formed, called the Atlantis Baptist Seminary, which we know what seminary means, and the mascot is called the Maroon Tiger. Through the history books, which has all been a lie, so therefore, if it's a lie, then what's the truth? If it's a lie, then what's the truth?